One of the joys, or one of the horrors, depending on your outlook, of working on hot rods, cars, modified cars, is from time to time you have to take multiple things from other cars and adapt them to fit your need. What I'm doing right now is I've got the first bit of the parts in on the 32 Ford Coupe hot rod that we're building, and got the disc brake kit in from Speedway Motors. Disc brake kit is actually quite nice. I'm very impressed with the quality of it. But one of the things you have to do getting it ready is use a different bearing race, which is this little thing right here. This will basically, the wheel bearing, the inner wheel bearing rides on this to give you a nice smooth ride, make sure you don't wear parts out all the time, anything like that. The rotor that came with the particular kit that I've got is right here. Should do a very good job of stopping it. The problem is as you can see down in here, if you can see that, got that bearing race in it already. That is not the proper one for the need that I have. So what I've got to do is I've got to take that bearing race out, put a new one in. What I'm about to demonstrate is how you do that. One thing I have learned in the time leading up to doing this demonstration is I have found out that the old adage is absolutely true. You have to have the right tool to do it. I just went to Harbor Freight and purchased a bearing race driver. Makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker, a lot neater way of putting the replacement bearing race in there. So let's take a look at what they got to do. The first thing I've got to do is drive the old bearing race out and install the new one. First thing you've got to do here with the new race is you have, this is a multi-use tool. As you can see, you've got multiple sizes for bearing races on this. What I'm doing is I'm using the proper size one. In this case, it's a 59 millimeter. It fits in there perfectly, as you can see. You just set it in there like so. Get your driver in there in position. Drive it into place, start gently, and then you can get on it after you get it started. Now, as you can see, the new one is nicely snug in place. Get a little bit better look of what we're dealing with here. The bearing race, of course, fits down neatly and snugly into that, and you just basically hammer on it until it's flush. Might give this a couple of more pecks just to make sure, but it is in and it is not going anywhere, and it's ready to go. Your sides are still have their integrity, so shouldn't be any problem. Well, that's just a quick look at that. Now what I've got to do is I'm waiting for my spindles to be returned. There is inside the spindle, which mounts onto the kingpin into the axle, which I will demonstrate in another video. The brass bushings, the kingpins were a little bit too tight. You have to ream those out. They have to be exact and they have to be the same size on both sides, so I farm those out to a gentleman at a machine shop here who can do it for me. I'm supposed to pick them up either Thursday or at the latest Saturday. get the spindles mounted and mocked up, then I can put the bearing and seals and all that, pack the bearings, and mount the disc brake rotors onto the new spindles. But that gets that race into place. I'm going to run over here very quickly to the back of my truck and dig out the bearing that I will be using for this, if I can find it. One of the problems with having all these parts, as you can see, is they tend to get a little bit jumbled up. This is the rear wheel bearing, and what I'm going to show you now is how that fits down in there after you got the packet full of grease and everything. But now, as you can see, I've got the proper race down in there. The bearing fits in nicely, spins, no problem at all. Well, that's it for this one. Thank you for joining me, and stay tuned. Please hit like and subscribe if you like the content that you're seeing. And one other thing, I actually ordered the body and the frame for the 32.3 window. It's going to be about 16 weeks before it arrives, but it is on the way. We went with Show Me Rod and Custom in Nixa, Missouri is who we ended up buying our stuff from. Tony is the gentleman I spoke with. Very cool guy, old-time hot rodder just like my family. He kind of reminded me of my dad, as a matter of fact. So as the videos go on, the next one I'm probably going to do is, once I get the spindles back, I'm going to mock up the front end, then blow it back apart after everything, make sure everything fits, and take those parts off to the powder coater. Stay tuned for more content coming up on this car, and thank you for joining me.